first of which is a bilateral agreement for the avoidance of double taxation and the prevention of fiscal evasion of taxes on income and capital benefits between Nigeria and Singapore.
Income and capital gains between Nigeria and Singapore.
The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Kemi Adelson, says the agreement is to facilitate more trade between Nigeria and Singapore, which is one of Nigeria's major trading partners.
Singapore is actually a major trading partner of Nigeria. They buy oil from us, petroleum export to Singapore for the last 5 years is about 264 billion naira versus imports of 311 billion. So it's a major trading partner, and we needed to have this bilateral agreement that basically ensures that companies are not taxed twice, but it also assures that companies cannot evade tax.
The Council also approved a bilateral air service agreement with the State of Qatar and Singapore, which the Aviation Minister explains will define air service business between both countries and Nigeria.
So the opportunity to move goods and services in a very efficient, fast manner, and then high-value commodities also that are freighted by air, necessitates the need for us to sign some agreement so that it will be defined how we are going to be doing businesses between Nigeria and Qatar and Singapore.
The Aviation Minister says following the Federal Executive Council's approval, the Air Services Agreement is now on its way to the National Assembly for ratification. Omelogo, Nadi Channels Television News.
So good things are happening, increased bilateral relations between Nigeria and most key countries in terms of boosting not only air transport of goods and services, but of course improved relations economically as well. Now, in the meantime, the Securities and Exchange Commission says despite the financial difficulties facing the country, the Commission is vigorously pursuing its capital market mandate. Now, the Director General of the Commission, Munir Gwazo, at the National Assembly spoke to where he had an interactive session with the House of Representatives on capital market and institutions, spoke to journalists and said that even with the limited resources at its disposal, the Commission has worked to ensure investors' protection and capital markets development.
Apart from doing that, we have also vigorously been pursuing our capital market mandate, which is investor protections and capital market of development, and you need resources to do that. So even within that limited resources, we've been able to do that. I'm sure most of you have followed most of our initiative from last year to this year with respect to electronic dividend, dematerialization. We set up the National Investor Protection Fund, and so far we have paid over 3,000 beneficiaries. We launched the Corporate Governance Scorecard. We have set up committees to review all the laws in Nigeria, and they all cost money. So yes, we in every institution, every government institution, 70% or more goes to personnel costs. But we have, judiciously utilized the balance in terms of our initiatives. Yes, we are going through difficult times because the market is not where we expected to be. But it's a reflection of the state of the economy. It's a reflection, of the state of the world economy. It's not only in Nigeria. If you look at other countries too, they are going through difficult times. And the only unfortunate thing is the major regulator of the capital market, which is SEC, relies heavily on what the market is able to make.
Let's take a look at the markets now. And yesterday, the Debt Management Office held its first bond auction for this month and offered about 95 billion naira, but only 39 billion naira worth of bonds were sold to investors at various stop rates. So we had successful bids for the July 2021, January 2026 and March 2036 bonds allotted at marginal rates of 15.48, 15.98 and 15.94% respectively. And of course, for the treasury bills that were offered yesterday, the 91, 182 and 364 day bills as well. We had stop rates of 13.99, 17.40 and 18.70% on the 119.93 billion naira worth of treasury bills that were sold to investors by the CBN yesterday. And so that kind of affected the mood we saw at the markets, at the treasury bills and the bonds segments of the market. Was relatively quiet as investors shifted focus to both segments of the market, as the treasury bills and the bond auction that was held yesterday. So yesterday we saw total number of deals for treasury bills traded on the FMDQ Securities Exchange coming in at 420 and a value of 106.42 billion naira. But those were the top four of the 28 listed on the FMDQ OTC's market. The most actively traded, of course, continue to be short-dated bills. As you can see there, most actively traded was the bill maturing on the 15th of December 2016. Let's take a look at the bonds market. As I said, quiet moment for that segment, but the most actively traded was the bond maturing on the 22nd of January 2026 with a price high of 84 naira 60 kobo at the end of the day for the 7 bonds listed on the FGN bonds, that is listed and traded on the FMDQ OTC's market. The benchmark bonds, we saw total value at 20.44 billion naira and deals done 201. At the interbank money market, there was, of course, there was a decline in liquidity in the system, and so we saw overnight rate coming in at minus 26.58, but the 1, 3, and 6 month NIBOR rates had expansions to finish at 19.24, 21.25, and 22.67% respectively. At the currencies markets, the naira continued to trade range bound as we saw the closing FX rate at 305 naira 50 kobo at the interbank foreign exchange market. The British pound is at 394.26 naira to the euros at 337. But most interestingly, we've seen the naira at the street market, as the parallel markets continue to fluctuate around 450 and 500, for almost 500 naira to the dollar. Yesterday we saw that finishing at 465. As you can see there, the British pound is at 560 to the naira and 495 for the euro to the naira. When we come back, we'll remind you of our poll question for the week, and of course we'll focus on commodities market. We'll take a look at some of the key issues, and there's also stories coming from the Nigeria energy market. We'll take a look at all of this in just a moment. Stay with us.